you can learn.
I think you have
Okay,
a question. Yeah.
I just saw it pop up. So Dr. Cartwright talked about intent not equaling impact. Would you provide an example, Dr. Cartwright, about that?
Sure. I can think of several, but I'll give you one that's personal and that's, related to me. And so I can think of lots of examples that that are really rooted in racism, and perhaps it could be people not knowing. I'll share a professional, example. There was once a time where, sounds like I'm about to tell a story, like a fairy tale. There was once upon a time, but there was once upon a time where I was negotiating a salary at a job. And I knew for sure that that the salary that they were offering me at the time, and this was several years ago, was not equitable. And I knew that because one of my friends had just got a job at this place, and he was a white man. And so he was telling me, oh, when you go in, they're going to give you this, you're going to get that, and it's going to be wonderful. Well, they offered me a salary that was $10,000 below his. And I was trying to figure out, like, what's really going on, because this is what he told me. And so needless to say, I didn't accept the job. But when I did not accept the job, but later I had a conversation with someone who worked there. And they said, well, what really happened with your offer was that we knew you were young, you were about to get married, and you were thinking about starting a family. So with that extra $10,000 would have came more responsibilities. And we didn't want to put that stress or that pressure on you. So we were trying to help you. So the intent there, now I know that it's racism. I know that it's because of my intersections. It could have been because I was Black. It could have been because I was a woman. It could have been because I appeared to be younger than I really am. And I'll take that part as a compliment. But there were so many different things. So they say they intended to help me, but the impact was far greater than that. And so that's just, one example that comes up for me about intent equaling impact. The other thing that comes to mind for me about intent versus impact is there's this video circulating, and it was circulating a couple of weeks ago. And Dr. Crum mentioned this earlier, like, I'm the other one who cannot watch the videos. I just cannot do it. So I still have not watched a lot of the killings that have occurred, that have been recorded. I just can't. But I did see this one video of something that was happening in a community. Like, there was a Black boy walking around the neighborhood or something. It was his neighborhood that he lived in. Do you all know what I'm talking about? Has anyone seen this? So he was walking around the neighborhood, and there was like a person, a white male who was a part of the army and the armed forces, and was really trying to force this guy out of the neighborhood. And his intent was to protect his community. His intent was to protect his neighborhood, let him tell it. But the impact was so very pervasive and was so racist. So we can say we have the best of intents, but our impact is really what matters. So his intent was to protect his home, was to protect his block, to protect his neighborhood, to make sure that there were not any thugs walking around on the streets. But the impact was far greater than that. And so I hope that helps to provide some concrete examples as to intent versus impact.
And he was a drill sergeant. He got suspended, and they came to his house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I also think with intent and impact too, we talked about responding right in the moment when you see something happening. So if you're in a meeting, this is a pet peeve of mine. Do not email me after a meeting saying, I'm so sorry that person said something to you. You might as well save that email. In that moment, use your power and privilege. That is not appropriate to say to Janae in this moment. I can't tell you the number of times where I've gotten emails from white colleagues after the meeting is over. And I'm sitting there in my office, like, spinning in my head, ruminating, thinking like, oh my gosh, like, exhausted, whatever, saying, I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. No, respond to that right in the moment. So I think about that with intent and impact too. So your intention was, I'm going to follow up with Janae. I'm going to show some empathy. But the impact was like, you really ain't down for me, because if so, you would have responded in that moment. And it actually makes me feel worse, to be very honest. So that's what came up for me.
And can I just add some things that I want